everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be all about the books I've been purchasing in the last month. I wanted to share with you the few finds that I've had. It's not that many, but I feel like I've been loving my reasonable hauls / all the ones pretty much I've got are something I'm really excited for. So let's go through the books. We're going to start right away with the book I'm the most excited about. Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 2 of the Stormlight Archive series. It's going to be an epic fantasy series that it's going to be 10 books long. And I have now book 1, book 3, and now book 2. So eventually I will be able to start reading them. They're not all out yet, obviously. So I'm always a little, stressed to start reading big series like this, but I know I'm going to probably end up cracking possibly next year. But yes, I'm super happy I was able to find this used hardcover. The only thing is that the first book I have the paperback, then the third I have hardcover, second same thing. So I kind of don't really care. I feel like a lot of people are like super specific, but I like how floppy these big books are whenever they are just paperback. But we'll accept hardcover. I'm just really happy to have it. And yeah, it's gonna just nag me a little on my shelves with the other one, and eventually I will crack and read them all. They're really big and terrifying, but I'm super excited because I've been loving his books so much. If you don't know anything, you are probably new to booktube. I feel like if you think fantasy, you think Brandon Sanderson, and his endings are always like mind-blowing, so I'm very excited to get to this series eventually. Actually, I probably should have put it on the shelf like I usually do, but it just had to chill with the other ones. So let's continue. More fantasy. I found Red Seas Under Red Skies by Scott Lynch, which is book 2 of the Gentleman Bastard series. I have the first book on my shelf and I have been meaning to read this series, but again, I'm a little nervous because the fourth book was supposed to come out like 2 years ago or something, and it's been pushed back, and even now it's not out yet. There's no date yet. And there are going to be 7 books, so we shall see whenever I end up picking it up, but I'm super excited to be able to just have them all on my shelves and just I like this. I don't know about you, but I love looking at my shelves and having book series that I know I'm gonna love just waiting for me for whenever I need them. You know what I mean? So eventually I will be picking it up. I have been like really in the mood for fantasy, so possibly. Actually, one thing that I ordered but won't be in this haul, probably the next one, is Grey Sister by Mark Lawrence. I just finished Red Sister, which is the first book in that series. The whole series is complete. The third book is coming out next year, so no waiting, and totally worth it. So that's why I'm like really in the mood for fantasy. I've been loving it lately. Next thing is more for the fall. If you don't know me, during the fall I like to binge read mystery horror thrillers. Like pretty much I read as much as I can during the fall, more than throughout the whole year. And I mean, it would not be fall without reading some Stephen King, right? I am planning on reading The Stand, but if I have more time, possibly I'll get to Needful Things. And I have heard so many people mention this one, and I hadn't realized how big this was. There are over 900 pages because his books can never be short. I am hoping that the endings would be good, because my thing with Stephen King is that his endings are never satisfying, but this one is about a store that opens in a little town called, the store is called Needful Things, not the the city, and basically people are able to find their things that they've been dreaming about, but they pay later, but aka probably not money, it's probably something bad happening to them. I feel like I've seen like TV show or something having that idea probably taken from this, but yes, I'm excited to read it. I don't know if it's gonna happen this fall because again, I have a pretty thick pile of books that I've been meaning to read in probably October, November, but if I have time, I'll definitely get to this one too. It's pretty much one of my like non-official goals in life to read all of his books, so one at a time. I have read a few last year, but not that many yet this year. The next book was absolutely huge in the French book world, and it was recently translated in English and people have been talking about it, so I decided to grab it. I obviously got it in French because sometimes translations are not just, they're just not great. In French, it's called, the series is called Paz Miwa. I'll put it on the screen or something, what it's called in English. The first book being Les Fiancés de l'Hiver by Christelle Dabo. And honestly, I don't know a lot about it except that it's one of those books that people have been mentioning, oh, it's like Harry Potter, which I feel like people always say that to just make you read the book, and they're actually never like Harry Potter. But you're still following a main character who is wearing glasses, so is that where it stops and it's a fantasy? We shall see. I feel like I've heard people mention that this might become a movie. I could be wrong, but yes, a lot of people have been talking about this in the French world, so I decided since it finally got translated, I might as well grab it and read it. Hopefully it lives up to the hype. I've been thinking about redoing my challenge of reading big books next year because I feel like I did really well in the beginning of the year and it's slowly like not going so well, and I've not officially said it, but I feel like I'm just gonna fail and I don't feel like finishing it. So I decided, you know what? To try and motivate myself to hopefully finish it, I decided to probably include it next year. So spoiler alert, but I wanted to try and find other books that I could add in there, basically books that are over 500 pages. And I've been trying to read books that intimidate me by their size or because they're classic. And when I saw this one, I was like, yep, I have been meaning to read you for years. And it is Dune by Frank, how do you say his name? Herbert? I feel like I've always heard it in French, I don't know why. So yeah, I saw this gorgeous edition and it's used, so it has that little dot there, but it looks amazing and I decided, you know what, this is a sign that I just need to finally get it and read it. This book has just under 700 pages and it's a classic sci-fi. I know pretty much nothing about it, which I don't know how I managed to go through my whole life without hearing anything about it, but it's a classic sci-fi, people talk about it a lot, and that's all I want to know. This is how I prefer going into my big classics. So yeah, this edition is like amazing. Like, look at this. It's gonna be really pretty on my shelves. And yes, hopefully next year will be added to my challenge and I will be reading it because I don't know. It's one of those things that like I've been meaning to read for so long that like it feels like it's never gonna happen. You know what I mean? So possibly next year. Speaking of big books, I saw these at my library sale and I don't know about you, but when the books are really cheap, I tend to just grab them no matter what, pretty much. And I have the first book in this series, what's the series called? The Gemma Doyle trilogy. I have the first book, which is A Great and Terrible Beauty, and then I found book 2 and 3, which is Rebel Angels and The Sweet Far Thing by Le Bray. And I don't know if it's going to be a really great thing or a bad thing that I now have the whole series, because if I don't like the first one, then I have the rest for no reason. But it's supposed to be like, I think, Victorian, kind of gothic, magical school type of thing, which if you want to make me read a book, just put magic in there, especially magical school, and I will read it. And I read The Diviners by the same author earlier this year, and I ended up liking her writing, so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to enjoy this series at one point. But I hadn't realized how big these books were, like especially the last one. Second one is over 500 and then the last one is over 800. But I have the first one on my shelf somewhere and I've been meaning to read it, so maybe finding the rest of the series will finally give me that little push to get to it. The next book is also part of a big fantasy series. We're seeing a pattern here. I've been meaning to read them and I'm like gathering all the books in the series so I could just end up reading them all in one go. And it is Academ's, I thought it was Academy, Spree by Jim Butcher. This is the second book in the Codex Alera series, where it was basically a challenge that someone gave him that he had to mix Roman Empire and Pokemon together and make it actually enjoyable. And people were saying that it works, and I believe the main character is like the only person that doesn't have magical power in a world where everyone has them. Something like that. So I've been really meaning to read those. I have the first one on my shelf. This is book 2, so hopefully again it's something I'll be picking up because, oh my god, 700 pages? But they are like mass market paperback, but I'm planning on traveling this fall and like possibly next year, so I feel like these are just easier to travel with than like these big bricks. So maybe I will be bringing these along when I travel. And then last but not least, this book I've seen so many times whenever I go to library sales or used bookstores, and I never pick it up. And I've seen it recently, I can't remember on what list it was. I have a feeling it was something like people reliving their lives type of plot, but now that I'm reading like what it says, I don't think that's what it is. And it is the 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. And from reading what it says here, it's supposed to be like a book, if you like books, it's a book about books, basically. and historical fiction, and I think there's like some type of mystery and again gothic feel, which I feel like if I have time during the fall, this could be absolutely perfect for this. And yeah. Does it happen to you? I feel like I got it because I had heard something and now I can't remember at all. Completely went out of my head and now can't remember. If you have read this, let me know, because I feel like it's something that was popular for like book clubs and everything, so I feel like a lot of people probably have read this. Okay, so it's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, even though I feel like I'm like a little bit scatterbrained. It's a bit late. I'm a little tired. Please let me know in the comment section what you picked up this month. What books are you excited to read? Have you read any of these? What do you think? Has anyone heard that this book is now in English? Let me know. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss any future videos. And I will be putting on the screen other videos that I've done that I recommend you check out. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.